You didn't text them back. You just closed the chat and walked away. It didn't feel like a big deal, but what if I told you that tiny decision may have saved your soul? Most people don't see the accident they almost had, the heartbreak they nearly walked into, the sin that just barely missed. Because Allah's protection doesn't always feel like a miracle. Sometimes it just feels like peace. You didn't fall, you didn't get exposed, and you'll never know how close the trap really was. But your discipline, that one act of restraint, it quietly rewrote the story you'll never have to live through. And that's what this video is about. 5 moments of discipline that protect you from disasters you never even saw coming. The kind of protection only Allah can give for the choices you thought no one noticed. Number 1, you closed the tab, and that closed a door to fitnah. Let's be honest. Everyone knows that feeling. You're alone, bored, one click away, and your nafs whispers, just for a second, just to see. The screen lights up. Your hand hovers, and something inside you says no. You close the tab, you walk away. It feels small, but what you just did, that's not weakness, that's power. There's a reason why lowering the gaze is so emphasized in Islam. Because what your eyes consume, your heart follows. And the first glance, that's the crack. The rest is just how fast you fall in. So when you pull back, when you guard your gaze, you're not just protecting your modesty, you're protecting your future. That sweetness, it doesn't just come from peace. It comes from knowing you are seconds away from a chain reaction. Because these things don't stay small. That click becomes a habit. That habit becomes darkness. That darkness starts to own you, but you didn't let it. You chose Allah in private. You walked away before Shaitan could decorate it. And maybe you'll never know what you dodged. Depression, addiction, spiritual emptiness, but you'll feel it in the days that still feel light. Some stories never happen. Not because you're lucky, but because Allah stopped you before the first page could begin. That one invite you declined. That one plan you backed out of. Maybe it was more than discomfort. Maybe it was protection you didn't even recognize at the time. Number 2, you said no to that invite and missed a night that could have changed everything. It sounded harmless. Just a hangout, a quick meetup, a chill night out. But something in your gut tightened, and you said no. You didn't explain it. You didn't need to. You just stayed home. And hours later, your phone lit up. The group chat exploded. The argument, the drama, the secrets that slipped out, the friendships that cracked, and you were miles away. It didn't make sense at first. You felt FOMO, regret, but now you realize that night could have stained you. Your name might have been dragged into things that weren't yours. Your heart might have witnessed something it could never unsee, but Allah wrote your absence before the drama began. You didn't avoid the chaos. You were pulled from it, quietly, completely. And that's how protection works. Sometimes Allah doesn't rescue you during the disaster. He erases your name from the list before it starts. But let me ask you something. Have you ever walked away from someone you prayed for? From a connection that felt perfect, but deep down, you knew it was pulling you away from Allah. What if that heartbreak wasn't punishment, but protection you didn't recognize yet? Number 3, you let go of a relationship you wanted, and Allah closed a door you couldn't. You really thought it would work out. You made dua for it. You asked for signs. You even tried convincing yourself that maybe this was Allah's plan, just hidden in delays. But deep down, you knew. It wasn't haram yet, but it wasn't halal either. And that line you kept tiptoeing on, it was getting thinner by the day. The messages got deeper, the feelings grew stronger, and slowly, you started rearranging your deen around a person you weren't even married to. You found yourself compromising things you never thought you would. Delaying salah, hiding chats, feeling guilty after every call. And still, you stayed. because your heart said maybe, just maybe. This was the kind of test that leads to nikah. But what if it wasn't a test? What if it was a trap? You didn't want to leave, because walking away didn't feel brave. It felt like grief. But here's the thing. Not all pain is harm, and not all love is guidance. Sometimes Allah removes something you were begging Him to bless, because He knows what it would have turned you into. And His silence, it wasn't rejection, it was protection, the kind that rips before it repairs. And you won't always get the answers, but you'll feel the shift. You'll wake up lighter. You'll notice your Quran feels closer, your thoughts feel quieter, your salah, it starts to feel like home again. Because sometimes when Allah pulls you away from someone, He's not taking something from you. He's giving you back to yourself. But what about the moments that don't come from heartbreak, but from heat? The kind of heat that rises in your chest when someone crosses a line and you feel yourself about to erupt. What do you do when silence would save you, but ego begs for war? Number 4, you didn't hit send. And that one unsent message saved your dignity. It was ready, typed out, perfectly worded. The sarcasm, the sting, the truth they needed to hear. You even reread it twice, just to make sure it would land exactly how you wanted. But something stopped you. Your thumb hovered, your heart thumped. And in that moment, you deleted it. They don't know what you held back. They'll never hear the version of you that could have shattered the conversation. But that restraint, that moment where you pulled back instead of pressing send, that was victory. Not over them, but over your own ego. Because anger doesn't announce itself as a fitnah. It feels like justice, like fire in your chest that needs to be released. And when you wrap it in the language of truth, it becomes even more dangerous. But you paused. You swallowed the poison. You let Allah witness the version of you that didn't retaliate, even though it would have been so easy. The Prophet ﷺ said, "The strong is not the one who can overpower others. The strong is the one who controls himself at the time of anger." And that strength, it didn't trend, it didn't get likes, but it protected your dignity, your akhirah, and maybe even someone else's heart from being wounded beyond repair. Now imagine how many disasters we invite just because we let one angry message speak for us. Number 5, you defended the person who wasn't in the room, and Allah defended you in ways you'll never know. They weren't even there to defend themselves. The jokes started casually, a few subtle jabs, then it got sharper. Names, private stories, everyone laughing. And you felt it, that pull between staying silent and keeping the peace, or speaking up and breaking the vibe. And then you said it. Just one line. "Let's not talk about them like that." The room went quiet. The energy shifted. Maybe someone rolled their eyes. Maybe they changed the subject, but that moment, that one line, it did more than just end gossip. It protected you. Because what most people forget is that backbiting doesn't just destroy the person being talked about. It slowly poisons everyone in the circle. It stains your heart. It invites shaitan. And worst of all, it strips away your blessings like fire consumes dry leaves. But when you step in, not with anger, not with pride, but with sincerity, you invite angels instead. You choose integrity over entertainment. And that choice echoes. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Whoever defends his brother in his absence, Allah will protect his face from the fire on the day of resurrection." You'll never know what sin Allah erased, what exposure He blocked, what judgment He softened, just because you chose loyalty over silence. And while they may never thank you, Allah never forgets. Because when you protect someone else's name, you might be protecting your own future. But before we close, let's ask the real question. What if the only reason you're still safe is because of the discipline you almost broke. There are things you'll never see, people you never met, places you never walked into, conversations that never reached your ears. All because of one thing: discipline. You don't get to see the disasters Allah erased. You don't get to watch the sins He pulled you away from. But He did. Again and again. Every time you chose to hold back, to pause, to walk away, to protect your heart when no one else could see it cracking. And maybe that's the part we forget. Discipline isn't about punishment. It's not about restriction. It's about writing a story that you'll one day thank yourself for, even if it hurts in the moment. Think about it. How many times did you stop yourself from saying something, and later realized it would have caused a permanent fallout? How many times did you stay home, and something went wrong where you almost went? How many times did you walk away and feel like you lost something, only to realize Allah gave you peace instead? Self-reflection isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's just this quiet moment where you realize, maybe I didn't get the thing I wanted, but I still have peace. And maybe that's the real gift. The Quran says, "And whoever fears Allah, He will make for him a way out and provide for him from where he does not expect." So here's your reminder. Your discipline matters. Even when no one praises it, even when no one sees it, even when you think it wasn't that deep. Because every time you chose restraint, you may have been seconds away from disaster. And if you've ever felt that quiet relief after choosing discipline, maybe that was your protection moment. Drop this in the comments as a reminder to yourself and others. Ya Allah, protect me through the discipline I don't even understand yet. If this video touched your heart, share it. You never know whose protection might begin with your reminder. May Allah reward your quiet victories, cover your unseen mistakes, and protect you from every harm, especially the ones you never even saw coming. Ameen.